If you tried Hyperland a year or two ago and gave up because it was too complicated, well, I have good news for you. In 2025, Hyperland is seriously on easy mode. The documentation is better, the tooling is mature, and honestly, it's never been easier to get a working setup. I'm going to show you exactly what changed, why it matters, and how you can actually take advantage of this right now. So let's get into it. Okay, look, I've been using Hyperland since early 2023, okay, probably even late 2022. Hyperland itself was released, like the first initial commit, Vaxersky made the first commit on, it was March 17th. Yeah, March 17th, 2022. I've been using Hyperland since late 22 to early 23, right? And back then, oh boy, it was rough. The documentation, it was scattered. You would find one guide that worked for Arch, but then another that worked for nixos, but then no guide that worked for both, right? Nothing was consistent. Half the time, you'd copy a config from someone's GitHub and it would just break. No error messages that made sense and just a black screen. And you guessed it, frustration. Waybar integration was pretty messed up, right? WLR workspaces. If you actually install Waybar even right now, if you go into a fresh user, and let's say you install Waybar over there, you try and configure it. By default, there was no Hyperland workspaces. There was only WLR workspaces. And guess what? There was no support for WLR workspaces. That protocol had absolutely nothing to do with Hyperland at the time. So there was no way you could actually get workspaces working properly. It was not a fun time to be when it comes to Hyperland, but regardless, I stuck through it. I just kept using it, right? You had to just piece together your Waybar config. Even when the functionality was added, it wasn't as though everything was just sunshine and roses where every single problem when it comes to Waybar alone, just that one program was solved. No, that's not the case. You still had to go ahead and piece together information from this post and this YouTube video and this tutorial that was actually made for Sway NC, and not Sway NC, but actually Sway, the tiling Wayland window manager. Oh God, it was a mess back then, right? And don't even get me started on Nvidia support. If you had an Nvidia card in 2023, you were basically beta testing someone's weekend project. That's genuinely what it felt like. But in 2025, almost all of that is actually solved. Let me show you what changed. Okay, so first of all, let me show you what the wiki looks like. So if we go to wiki.hyper.land, they managed to get a really cool domain name, which is hyper.land, which is absolutely amazing. And this is what you see, okay? Let me show you get started. So we have 3 sections in get started. In configuring, we have all of these different sections ready to basically set you up with everything that you could possibly need when it comes to Hyperland. Then there's also the Hyper ecosystem, which there wasn't a single app here. So you count all of these apps, okay? There's 5, and then there's 10, and there's 15, and then there's probably something like 20, around 20. We have around 19 to 20 apps inside of the Hyper ecosystem. Guess how many there were when Hyperland originally started out? Probably even around late 2023 or even mid 2023. There was nothing. Guess what? There was absolutely nothing. You didn't have Hyper Picker, you didn't have Hyper Launcher. This one's actually even pretty new, but you had none of this. Okay. So yeah, that's a new addition that they have. And under useful utilities, they tell you everything that you need. Then under plugins, you have a bunch of plugins. We have 10 plugins actually. I've made a video on that. If you want, you can check that out. Then in Nix, we have Hyperline on NixOS as well, and a bunch of other little grievances that you could possibly have. They've addressed it. They have addressed it all. So the documentation is pretty good. It's absolutely amazing. It's fantastic right now. If you compare this to 2023, where the wiki was basically a bunch of just, what do you call it, strung together text documents like .txt files. Yeah, it's insane, right? You're not just guessing anymore because you can actually read what something does before you enable it. So that's fun. That's the first reason, right? So the documentation is actually existing. You can see it. It is tangible. It is not just hyperctl dash dash help, and it's not just hyperland dash dash help either. We have more documentation on it than just having to rely on man pages here. Although you can do that if you still want to, perhaps live in the caveman days, right? Okay, so reason number 2, the tooling is mature. Now, Waybar just works with Hyperland now. They've actually specifically added a section into Waybar for Hyperland workspaces. So if you go to github.com, Alexei's Waybar here, if we just scroll down, there should be a wiki. So let's click on wiki. And if we scroll down, there should be a Hyperland section, as you see here. And even this section. Okay, even hyperland module inside of waybar, this around 1 to 2 years ago was absolutely a whole bunch of nothingness. There was basically nothing over here. You had hyperland workspaces, and you had sure as hell didn't have any of these options. But now, because of basically widespread adoption, literally PewDiePie. Okay, come on, you have to have known this, right? PewDiePie used hyperland. If that's not enough publicity for hyperland, I genuinely don't know what is, right? But as you can see, there is a lot more stuff inside of the wiki when it comes to waybar customization for hyperland. So yeah, that is yet another reason. The tooling is mature. If I show you, okay, let's show you this as well. Let's show you hyper ecosystem. So you have a wallpaper. Let's go through each of these apps and then let me show you everything that you can do with it, okay? So wallpaper, that's done. Color picker, done. Hyper launcher, this one's new. I genuinely haven't even checked it out yet. Look at that. A new feature within like 2 to 3 weeks. Done. App launcher. And then you have an idle manager. Done. Lock screen. Done. Hyper sunset. So this is basically like WL sunset or Redshift back in the day. Done. Hyper polkit agent. This is the password box that shows up when you try and type in your password when you want to escalate privileges, which basically means if I type something like systemctl start libvirt, right, it asks for this password box. So they have that going on. Then we have hyper cursor. So your cursor, check. Then we have hyper wayland scanner. This is for your fingerprint scanner, check. And then let's see what else. That's it. Qt utils, check. So you have a lot of stuff. Waybar works. That's one thing that I mentioned earlier. And then rofi. Rofi also works. Before you had to install a fork of rofi called rofi-wayland. But then due to the just massive adoption and just sheer numbers of people using rofi when it comes to hyperland setups, okay? The developers of rofi, okay, I think pretty sure it's Davitorium, github.com, Davitorium, rofi. Rofi has added a wayland feature over here. So if we look at rofi, yep, there you go, wayland support. This sure as hell wasn't there 2 to 3 years ago either. This wasn't there. That's another good thing. And then there's also clipboard managers, screenshot tools, notification daemons, everything, including this Overwatch panel, which is Sway and C. We have support for that on Hyperland now as well. Everything that you could need, everything that was a pain point 2 years ago, all of that has been solved. Take a look at the useful utilities here. All of this, you have app clients, app launchers. They've included a specific section for that inside of the Hyperland wiki as well. So that's reason number 2. We have the tooling that it takes. And 3, the community figured it out. Now, there are standardized approaches to common problems that are faced by most people inside of the community, right? Theme switching. You have, let's say, a bunch of different themes that you want to switch from. Let me actually just show you because it's much simpler for me to show you. Okay, let's say that you want a list of different themes, or even better, you just have a particular wallpaper and you want your system to basically adapt to the colors of that wallpaper. Well, that's been standardized as well by tools like Matigen and Pywall. So if I show you Pywall, that would be in github.com, Dylan Araps Pywall. This one's actually archived, I believe. Yep, this one's archived. It's now read-only, but Pywall is still good to go. You can actually use Pywall instead of any other utility if you so chose. You can also use something like Wallust to pick the colors from your wallpaper and theme the rest of your system. Right, Wallust is a better Pywall, but it's more than that apparently. You can also use Matigen, which is Material View colors. So if you like Google Android's aesthetic, then you're going to love Material View, because I personally, look, you have to give Google credit when it comes to design, because no matter how many shenanigans they pull with all the data tracking and selling your data and stuff, you have to admit they damn well know how to make good software, or at least make software look good, right? So Matigen, this INIOX, Matigen is inspired by that and actually uses colors directly from Google's design language, Material U, in order to pick colors for your wallpaper. So it picks the colors from the wallpaper and pastes it to whatever apps that you choose. Like, for example, to actually show it to you in action, I've created my own theme switcher using a list of my own themes, as you see here. So I can also switch between different wallpapers if I so chose. Ta-da! We have different transitions for different wallpapers. I can pick a wallpaper like this. This one's actually a really corny wallpaper that I found. I wanted to show this to you. But yeah, if I show you another corny wallpaper, ta-da! Yes, lots of corn. Life motto: if side equals false, be awesome. Yes, love that. Love that. This is an abstract wallpaper. let's show you my favorite theme. My favorite theme out of all this has to be Rose Point, the theme that you saw originally. Wallpapers are just, for this theme, are just so good. Like, they bring me joy. They bring me true and genuine joy that's just so hard to find elsewhere. Like, this is amazing. I live for this, in case you couldn't tell, right? Then in Tokyo Night, this is the wallpaper I've used for over a month when it comes to recording videos. This one's actually a waybar layout switcher. This one's actually pretty easy to implement as well. On new Hyperland, you can set that up with scripts. Okay, then here, if I just switch wallpaper to something like waves, looks pretty damn amazing, right? Exactly. That is what you can do with Hyperland in today's day. And by the way, if you want to learn how to make something like this yourself, okay, if you want a step-by-step proven system to just follow the steps that I show you and get a setup like this, actually make it yourself instead of just copying and pasting somebody else's dot files, then go ahead and click the first link in the description. I show you exactly how to do this so that you don't have to go around begging for somebody else's help in case something breaks when it comes to their dot files. Right, so in fact, let me just show you. So here inside of system reforging, which is a part of the program, Hyper Accelerator, which is the first link in the description, I show you exactly how you can make environments like these as well. Absolutely stunning, gorgeous environments that pretty much impress literally everybody around you. In case you show these to your co-workers, once you make a setup like this, they're generally going to have their jaws dropped because, trust me, nobody has a setup like this. So if you got a setup like this, dude, you would genuinely be in the top 1% of Hyperland users. That's guaranteed. I give you my personal guarantee. My personal guarantee of having taught hundreds of thousands of people about Rising Hyperland and about basically, what do you call it? Having been Rising Hyperland for 4 years ever since it came out. Then theme switchers, right? This is the module where I actually show you how to implement this stuff. This is a 2 hour long module, which took me way goddamn longer than 2 hours to create, but nonetheless, 2 hour long module where I show you what theme switchers actually are, the different kinds of theme switchers, how to set up wallpaper based theme switching with Pywall and Matigen and all that, and then custom theme switching with the themes that you see here. So here I tell you exactly what it is. It's just novelty on steroids. Now, if I show you the actual configuration, I show you the code that goes into this, all the configuration stuff. I teach you how to do this so that you don't have to mess around going from one tutorial to the other whilst actually learning nothing and then having not much to show for it. Okay, instead of that, you could just follow a 3-step system, which I name Genesis, System Reforging, and Finishing Touches, which you can see here, right? You just follow this 3-step system and get a setup exactly like this without going through any of the pain and hassles that I did. So if you want that, go ahead. First link in the description. You can just click it right now. You can pause this video and return to it later. Go ahead, check it out. Now, that was reason 3, the community having figured it out, right? The standardized approaches to theme switching, Pywall, and Matigen. And when it comes to dot file management, we've got that figured out as well. We've had stow. We have options like GNU stow, and then we also have chesmoy for dot files. We also have good old git. So dot files is also covered. It means that you're not just reinventing the wheel anymore. You're following patterns that thousands of people have tested and refined. In fact, I shouldn't even say thousands, because if you take a look at that GitHub repo, hyperwm, hyperland, it's tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands of people. Look at that, 30,000 stars. And the amount of people actually using Hyperland are way more than just 30,000. So you can rest assured that people are actually actively working on this project. Okay, that's reason number 3. Then reason 4 is Nvidia support has improved massively. Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect, right? Of course, it's still Nvidia on Wayland. Sometimes you're going to have issues, but honestly, most of them are just fixed. Most of the issues are just fixed. I have used this for quite some time now, and I have never seen a single issue crop up. Most people have problems with Electron applications or something like that, but I'm using the open kernel modules for my specific laptop, which is using the RTX 5050 laptop variant, and oh my god. I thought NVIDIA on Hyperland would be absolute hell, right? NVIDIA on Wayland, on Hyperland especially, would be hell given all these fancy visual effects. But guess what? I have never had a single issue. Not with VS Codium, not with Desktop, which is basically Discord. I haven't had it with Discord. I haven't had it with VS Codium. I haven't had it with Spotify. Every single Electron app that I use, there has not been a single issue. So Wayland support, I mean, NVIDIA support on Wayland, on Hyperland specifically, is, oh my god, it's amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah, so there is no way in hell you're not going to have wayland support properly. Again, it's not perfect, but as far as I have personally used it, right, I can only speak from my personal experience, and so far it's just never broken. So if you want Hyperland as a daily driver with Nvidia in 2025, that has never been a better year. That genuinely has never been a better year. And that wasn't true in 2023, you know. So yeah. And finally, the fifth reason is the ecosystem has caught up. Apps that didn't support Wayland properly, most of them actually do now. You have Electron apps, browsers, and even proprietary software, they mostly work. The rough edges are smoothed out. And I say mostly, when I say mostly, that's genuinely meant to be taken with a grain of salt. Look, I don't want to be seen as this guy who's just hyping Hyperland because he's using Hyperland and does stuff with it, right? I don't want to be seen as that guy, but I honestly don't think that there's a better alternative. Sure, you have different wayland compositors like Niri that's on the rise now. Sure, that's on the come up. You can go ahead and you can check Niri out, right? There's no harm in doing that. But when it comes to wayland and hyperland in general, there's so much potential. Okay, there's so much untapped potential. There's so much tapped potential. Let's not even talk about that. The genuine untapped potential that's existing on this platform is surreal. It's absurd, to put it lightly, right? Yeah, to put it lightly, it's absurd, which means that it's basically amazing. So what was I going to show you? Yeah, are we Wayland yet? This is a website that I used to check quite often to check whether we were Wayland yet. Waylandyet.com. So are we Wayland yet? This is probably a .org. Okay, here, mostly. They say mostly, but then every single app that you could want, it's all here. Color management in HDR and display link driver for all of this. Yeah, chances are, unless you're in the, what do you call it? Not 1% of people, you're not going to be able to use this or even worry about it at all. But everything that you could need, it's all here. App launchers, clipboard managers, color pickers, Compass support, DEs, docs, document viewers. By the time I even run through this list and then name all the names, it's going to be half an hour, which basically means you have everything. So this should just be rewritten to yes. And this too, give it another year or two, you're going to have display link drivers for this as well as color management in HDR. The way open source works is, okay, I've noticed in my pattern of using Linux for over 4 years, I've noticed that the only reason these two features are not probably already implemented is because there's not that many people using it, right? That's pretty much the only reason. Think about Hyperland. Think about how many contributors have contributed to Hyperland already just because of the sheer amount of usage that people have on Hyperland every single day. If a feature is actually used a lot, then chances are open source is going to make that feature as robust and efficient and beautiful and working properly as they can. That's it. That was the fifth reason of the ecosystem catching up. That's it. So that's 5 reasons that I've given you as to why Hyperland is on easy mode in 2025. Now let me address this, okay? Why does this actually matter? Sure, I've explained to you why all of this stuff actually exists and how it can help make your everyday life when it comes to using Hyperland and desktops and your computer so much better, but why does it actually matter? Okay, tell you what. If you tried Hyperland before and bounced off because it was too hard, dude, it's time to try again. The barrier to entry has dropped massively. What used to take weeks of tinkering can actually now be done in a weekend. What used to require deep Linux knowledge, like making custom theme switches like this, the scripts, the sheer amount of work that had to go into it, it's all been simplified. It's literally never been easier. Yeah, all of that can just be done by following clear documentation. This is the window. Right now, in 2025, Hyperland is mature enough to be usable, but then still customizable enough to be powerful. You get the best of both worlds. If you've been thinking about switching to a tiling window manager, or if you've tried Hyperland before and just given up, or even if you're on a different wayland compositor, whether it be Sway, River, there's probably a bunch more, but then Niri, right? If you're on Niri as well, I just urge you to come ahead and try Hyperland because this is your moment. It's never been easier, and honestly, I don't think it's going to get easier than this. So yeah. Also, if you want a complete step-by-step system for building your own Hyperland setup just like this with a custom theme switcher and a wallpaper theme switcher, along with a waybar theme switcher over here, right? So if you want to build something like this, you want a complete setup and you want not just the basics, but then the full thing of how to make something like this with theme switching and custom scripts and whatnot, all the polish that I showed you in this video, you can go ahead and click the first link in the description. It's Hyper Accelerator, which is a program I showed you here already. It's a complete program that takes you from zero to a production ready, wicked fast, right? Wicked, wildly blazing, any adjective that I can come up with for fast. It's all that and more, right? Gives you a setup like that in 1 weekend. 10 hours of tutorials, all the configs included, and email support when you get stuck. Links in the description. There's a 30-day guarantee, so if you're not happy, you literally get your money back. Plus, I will pay you $50 and build you a custom setup for free. Now, this is not going to last forever. Okay, this guarantee, I might change it in the future because of how good it is, right? But regardless, you literally cannot lose. If you liked the video, hit like. If you loved it and want to see more like this in your feed, hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Stay rising. Mwah!